Hi, it's me again. How are you? Do you see that it's dark outside? It's nighttime. I'm going to read you a book today, or I should say tonight, about sleeping. It's a good book to read before you go to bed. Do you see the moon up there? Look. Ooh, look at the moon. It's a beautiful night. A perfect night for sleeping. This book is called The Sleep Book by Dr. Seuss. And this particular sleep book is my book from when I was a little girl. Me and my sister, her name is Carolyn, we used to read this book every night before we went to bed. We loved it so much. I hope you love it just as much as we did. The news just came in from the county of Keck that a very small bug by the name of Van Vleck is yawning so wide you can look down his neck. This may not seem very important, I know, but it is, so I'm bothering telling you so. A yawn is quite catching, you see, like a cough. It takes just one yawn to start other yawns off. Now the news has come in that some friends of Van Vleck's are yawning so wide you can look down their necks. At this moment right now, under 7 more noses, great yawns are in blossom. They're blooming like roses. The yawn of that one little bug is still spreading. According to latest reports, it is heading across the wide field through the slippery night air, across the whole country toward every which where, and people are gradually starting to say, I feel rather drowsy. I've had quite a day. Look, from here to there to there. Wow. Creatures are starting to think about rest. 2 Biffer-bomb birds are now building their nest. They do it each night, and quite often I wonder, how do they do this big job without making a blunder? And that is their problem, not yours and not mine. The point is, they're going to bed, and that's fine. Sleep thoughts are spreading throughout the whole land. The time for night brushing of teeth is at hand. Up at Herkheimer Falls, where the great river rushes and crashes down crags in great gargling gushes, the Herkheimer sisters are using their brushes. Those falls are just grand for toothbrushing beneath, if you happen to be up that way with your teeth. Look at them brushing their teeth. The news just came in from the Castle of Krupp that the lights are all out and the drawbridge is up. And the old drawbridge drawer just said with a yawn, my drawbridge is drawn and it's going to stay drawn till the milkman delivers the milk about dawn. I'm going to bed now, so nobody better come round with a special delivery letter. Look at him. He's turning up the drawbridge. And that's a big house that he lives in. The number of sleepers is steadily growing. Bed is where more and more people are going. In Culpeper Springs in the Stiltwalkers' Hall, the Stiltwalker stilts are all stacked on the wall. The Stiltwalker walkers have called it a day. They're all tuckered out and they're snoozing away. This is very big news. It's important to know. And that's why I'm bothering telling you so. Do you see all them sleeping? Way out in the west in the town of Merced, the Hinklehorn Honking Club just went to bed. Every horn has been quietly hung on a hook for the night in its own private Hinklehorn nook. All this long happy day they've been honking about, and the Hinklehorn honkers have honked themselves out. But they'll wake up fresh in the morning, and then they'll start right in Hinklehorn honking again. There they are sleeping. And there's their Hinklehorns. George, Henry, Freddie, and somebody else. I love this guy. Creatures, everywhere creatures are falling asleep. The collapsible Frank just collapsed in a heap. And by adding the Frank to the others before, I am able to give you a Who's Asleep score. Right now, 40,404 creatures are happily sleeping deeply in slumber. I think you'll agree that's a whopping fine number. Look at his neck and his arms and his legs. So silly. Counting up sleepers, just how do we do it? Really quite simple, there's nothing much to it. We find out how many, we learn the amount by an audio-teleo-talio count. On a mountain halfway between Reno and Rome, we have a machine in a plexiglass dome, which listens and looks into everyone's home, and whenever it sees a new sleeper go flop, it jiggles and lets a new biggle ball drop. Our chap now counts these balls as they plop in a cup, and that's how we know who is down and who's up. Look at this fancy machine. What do you think of that? All the balls, all the counting, all the tallies, all the numbers, even a piano, and a sign. Keep out. Why? Because he's busy. Do you like to sleep? Do you talk in your sleep? It's a wonderful sport. And I have some news of this sport to report. The world champion sleep talkers, Joe and Mo Retzoff, have just gone to sleep and they're talking their heads off. For 55 years now, each chattering brother has babbled and gabbled all night to the other. They've talked about laws and they've talked about gauze. They've talked about paws and they've talked about flaws. They've talked quite a lot about old Santa Claus. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you should take up the sport. It's just fine for the jaws. Do you walk in your sleep? I just had a report of some interesting news of this popular sport. Near Finnegan Fen, there's a sleepwalking group, which not only walks, but it walks a la hoop. Every night they go miles. While they walk to such length, they have to keep eating to keep up their strength. So, every so often, one puts down his hoop, stops hooping, and does some quick snooping for soup. That's why they're known as the Hoop Soup Snoop Group. Now the news has arrived from the Valley of Vale that the Chippendale Mupp has now bitten his tail, which he does every night before shutting his eyes. Such nipping sounds silly, but really it's wise. He has no alarm clock, so this is the way he makes sure he'll wake up at the right time of day. His tail is so long he won't feel any pain till the nip makes its trip and gets up to his brain. In exactly 8 hours, the Chippendale Mupp will at last feel the bite and yell, "Ouch!" and wake up. Look at him. He's going to take a bite of his tail, and it's going to go all the way through his tail. And he's finally going to feel it at 8 in the morning. Ouch! He's going to wake up. That's so silly. A Mr. and Mrs. J. Markle Crocs have just gone to bed near the town of Fort Knox. And they, by the way, have the finest of clocks. I'm not at all sure how I quite understand just how the thing works with that one extra hand, but I do know this clock does one very slick trick. It doesn't tick-tock. How it goes is tock-tick. It doesn't. So with its ticks and its talker and tocks and its ticker, it saves lots of time, and the sleepers sleep quicker. Look at that silly clock. What a fine night for sleeping. From all that I hear, it's the best night of sleeping in many a year. They're even asleep in the Zweiback Motel, and people don't usually sleep there too well. The beds are like rocks, and as everyone knows, the sheets are too short, they don't cover your toes. So if people are actually sleeping in there, it's a great night for sleeping. It must be the air. Look, is that a fun place to sleep? I don't know, maybe. It's a great night for snores. I just had a report of some boys who are tops in this musical sport. The snortiest snorers in all our fair land are the Snorter McVale and his Snort Band. This band can snore Dixie and Old Swanee River, so loud it would make 40 elephants shiver. The loudest of all of the boys is McPhail. He snores with his head in a 3-gallon pail. So if they snore in a cave 20 miles out of town, if they snored any closer, they would snore the town down. Do you snore in your sleep? Do you know who's asleep out in Funa Laguna? 2 very nice Funa Laguna babunas. We've added them into our Who's Asleep count, which has grown to a really amazing amount. Exactly 8,808,000 creatures are sleeping. Now, isn't that great? A Jed is in bed. and the bed of a jet is the softest of all the beds, it is said. He makes it from pom-poms he grows on his head, and he's sleeping right now on the softest of fluff, completely exhausted from growing the stuff. Do you see him sleeping there? He's growing those pom-poms on his head. Wow, look at that big bed. The news has come in from the district of Doft that 2 oft are asleep, and they're sleeping aloft. And how are they able to sleep off the ground? I'll tell you, I weighed one last week and I found that an oft is so light, he weighs minus 1 pound. Look at them sleeping out in the air. Let's see, what does this say? Someone please pull at 8 a.m. Thanks. And what does this one say? This one too, please. Isn't that silly? Would you like to sleep in the air? That sounds like fun. All right, this is a tongue twister. Let's see if I can read it without making a mistake. A moose is asleep, he's dreaming of moose drinks. A goose is asleep, he's dreaming of goose drinks. That's well and good when a moose dreams of moose juice, and nothing goes wrong when a goose dreams of goose juice. But it isn't too good when a moose and a goose start dreaming they're drinking the other one's juice. Moose juice, not goose juice, is juice for a moose, and goose juice, not moose juice, is juice for a goose. So when a goose gets a mouthful of juices of mooses and moose gets a mouthful of juices of gooses, they always fall out of their bed screaming screams. So I'm warning you now, never drink in your dreams. Isn't that so silly? There's a moose, he's dreaming of moose juice. And there's a goose dreaming of goose juice. So silly. Speaking of dreaming, I think you should note that the Bumbletub Club is now dreaming afloat. Every night they go dreaming down Bumbletub Creek, except for one night every 3rd or 4th week, when they stop for repairs because their Bumbletubs leak. But tonight they're afloat, full of dreams, full of bliss, and that is why I'm bothering telling you this. At the fork of the road in the Vale of Avode, 5-foot-weary salesmen have laid down their load. All day they've been racing around in the heat at top speeds, unsuccessfully trying to sell zippers of seeds, which nobody wants because nobody needs. Tomorrow will come, they'll go back to their chore, they'll start on the road, zizzer-zoofing once more. But tonight they've forgotten their feet are so sore, and that's what the wonderful night air is for. See them all sleeping? Everywhere creatures have shut off their voices. They've all gone to bed in the beds of their choices. They're sleeping in bushes, they're sleeping on crannies, some on their stomachs and some on their fannies. They're peacefully sleeping in comfortable holes, some even on soft turf barbershop poles. The number of sleepers is now past the millions. The number of sleepers is now in the billions. Look where they're sleeping. In the holes, up there on the barbershop pole, and in all those little places. They're sleeping on steps and on strings and on floors, in mailboxes, ships, and keyholes of doors. Every worm on a fish hook is safe for the night. Every fish in the sea is too sleepy to bite. Every whale in the ocean has turned off his spout. Every light between here and Farfoodle is out. And now, adding things up, why, we are way beyond billions. Our who's asleep score is now up in the zillions. Look at this guy, he's sleeping in the mailbox. And in the keyhole. Wow, on the steps. Oh my goodness. Everywhere the whales are sleeping. Oh my goodness. Even the spider is sleeping and all the fishies are sleeping. 99 zillion, 9 trillion and 2 creatures are sleeping. So, how about you? What do you think? Is it time for you to go to sleep? Is that your bedroom right there? Are you getting ready to turn your light out? There's the moon in the sky. When you put out your light, the number will be 99 zillion, 9 trillion and 3. Good night. Would you like to see the last page? This book is to be read in bed. I hope you're in bed. Have a good night's sleep.